So when it comes to staying aware, every day the world around you is sending signals to you, right? Trying to let you know what's going on. Some of those signals are obvious, some are very subtle and not so obvious, but the ability to pick up on those signals, to read the situation before it unfolds, can mean the difference between success and failure in overcoming the problems that may head your way. And in today's world of uncertainty, sharpening your situational awareness training isn't optional, it's a necessity. And the truth is, situational awareness training is about living consciously, stacking the odds in your favor, and putting yourself in a position to better manage both life's opportunities and its dangers. As a former Army Ranger, international security advisor, and paramedic, I've spent decades training and relying on my situational awareness to stay safe in high risk environments. So today, I'm going to walk you through practical ways that you can quickly develop your situational awareness training so you're ready for whatever the world throws your way. Now, if you'd like to know more about situational awareness, I did a deep dive in my book, Mind for Survival. It's available on Amazon. Head over there, put in Brian Duff in the search engine for books. My book, Mind for Survival, with my beautiful mug will be on the cover, and that'll come up. Go ahead and get that copy today because I do a deep dive into situational awareness, the survival pyramid, all this good stuff, and you won't go wrong by getting that book. And tip number one is to use the OODA Loop to improve your situational awareness so that you understand what is happening in the world around you now and in the future. And if you're new to situational awareness, OODA Loop, OODA, stands for Observe, Orient, Decide, and Act. It's a decision-making cycle originally developed by Air Force Colonel John Boyd for fighter pilots, but it applies perfectly to your everyday life too. It applies to business, it applies to everything. And it starts with observe, where you observe your surroundings, again, through your traditional senses, our somatic senses. What do we feel? What is our subconscious telling us? We're observing what's happening. We're looking for correlations and all that stuff. And once we get all that information into our head, then we take that information, we sort it, we parse it, we compare it against old information, we run it through a filter of the human condition. And that's called the orient phase, where we work to understand what is happening in the world around us. And the output of what we work to understand is our perspective. It's our views on life, our views and our perspective on specific things that are happening right now. With that information from the orient phase, we then move into the decide phase, which is where we take that information and we make decisions about what we want to do with the information. And once we have those decisions about what we want to do, then that leads to actions that we take. Again, we observe, we orient to what we observe, we take that orient, we create a perspective, we make decisions based on that perspective, and then we take actions based on those decisions. And the key is that you're constantly cycling through these 4 steps. You don't observe once and move on. You're always feeding new information into your OODA loop to stay ahead of the curve, to stay ahead of the opposition, right? Good situational awareness isn't just about knowing what's happening right now. It's about also being able to make better predictions about what might be happening in the future. When you consistently observe and orient yourself effectively, you start to anticipate on how situations might unfold. This ability to predict even just a few seconds into the future gives you a massive advantage, whether you're avoiding potential threats or capitalizing on opportunities or simply managing your everyday life more effectively. It gives you a huge leg up on getting through things more successfully. So training your situational awareness also strengthens your decision-making skills and improves your overall problem-solving abilities, allowing you to act swiftly and decisively when necessary. In the end, mastering the OODA loop is a cornerstone of any serious situational awareness training program. Next, situational awareness training tip number 2 is you need to understand condition yellow and try to stay in condition yellow. Former Marine Lieutenant Colonel Jeff Cooper developed a simple system to explain awareness levels known as Cooper's color code. And the color code is white, yellow, orange, and red, with white being when you're unaware and unprepared. Yellow is when you have relaxed alertness. You're aware of your surroundings, but you're not tense. You're not hyper fixated on something. Just you notice what's happening in the world around you. You're in tune, right? Orange That is focused alert. That's where you've identified something in yellow as being not so normal. And now you're identifying that as a potential opportunity and threat. And you're kind of keeping a little bit more of a sharp focus on that because that's sticking out a little bit more. And then red is action mode. That means whatever happened in orange has escalated. That opportunity is there, the threat is there, whatever that is, and now you're responding to that threat or opportunity. You're hyper focused on that and handling business. Now, you should strive to live most of your life in condition yellow, where it calm, relaxed, but tuned into what's happening around you. But let's also be real. You can't live your entire life in conditions orange and red. Living constantly in action mode isn't sustainable. It will wear you down physically and mentally. And as someone who's personally dealt with the exhausting hyper alertness of living in condition orange, thanks to my PTSD, I can tell you firsthand that that's not sustainable either. You have to allow yourself moments in condition white too. Moments you can truly relax, be at peace, and recharge. The key is knowing when it's appropriate to shift between these different levels and these conditions and not letting your guard down when you need to be situationally aware. When it's go time, you don't need to be in the white, you don't need to be in the yellow, you need to be in the red. And because you can't always be in the red, there's times when you have to be in the white and yellow. Ultimately, what does that mean? Balance in life, balance in situational awareness, balance in our alert levels is crucial. Situational awareness is about being ready. It's not about being paranoid, exhausted, or living in a permanent state of stress. It's about understanding when do I ratchet it up and when do I ratchet it down. Next up, tip number 3, know your baseline. And baseline awareness means knowing what's normal for your environment. For example, if you walk into a coffee shop, normal might be people chatting, baristas making drinks, the smell of coffee in the background, someone working on a laptop, people standing in line, all that typical stuff when you walk into a coffee shop. However, if you walk into that same shop and everyone is dead silent, staring at the door, staring at some weirdo in the corner, it's July, they're wearing a coat, they're sweating, something's off about them, that's abnormal. Sometimes it's not even the something you see that's happening. It's more of a feeling in the air, a heaviness, a tension, an unexplainable sense that something isn't right. Learning to recognize those subtle environmental shifts is just as important as noticing the obvious visual cues. But baselines just aren't external, they're internal too. So, tip number 4 is trust your internal baseline. Situational awareness isn't just about watching your environment, it's also about paying attention to how your body feels as you move through your day. Because you have a normal internal state. You know how you feel when you're relaxed, when life is normal, when there's not a bunch of stuff going on. Your breathing is steady, your muscles are loose, your mind is calm. You know what that feels like when you're relaxed and things are normal. However, you also know what something feels off. Your body knows it before your conscious mind does. Maybe you feel a tightness in your chest, across your back, a change in your breathing, tension in your muscles, your legs are feeling like you have to get up and move, or that gut feeling that something isn't right is just lingering with you. These internal signals are your body's internal warning system, picking up subtle cues that your conscious mind doesn't know, that your conscious mind doesn't recognize, and therefore your subconscious mind is trying to alert you, trying to get your attention. Now, these sensations come from subconscious processes, your autonomic nervous system, your somatic senses, and your ability to sense your own internal state, which is called interoception. Examples of these subconscious alerts include a weird tightness in your chest before you even realize you're anxious. You don't even know anything's going on, but man, all of a sudden your chest is a little bit uncomfortable. And then you realize, hey, I'm anxious, I'm nervous, something's going on, right? Maybe it's an automatic shift in posture because your body senses strain somehow, right? Have you ever had a slight shiver before you were consciously aware that you're cold? Maybe you've had that again, that gut feeling that something's wrong, even yet if you can't quite explain why. It's like your body is quietly whispering hints all the time. And if you're paying attention, because it does whisper hints all the time, you can pick up on these early warning signs much faster. Now, trusting and tuning into your internal baseline is a critical part of true situational awareness because it'll alert you when, right? When you're in the white, when you're in the yellow, you might start noticing that stuff and it can help you notice that shift in your baseline and be like, something's changing here. Let me look into it and see what exactly it is. And tip number 5 is how to scan your environment and read body language for threats. Now, scanning your environment doesn't mean acting like a hyper alert sentry with your head on a swivel. In situational awareness, noticing body language, subtle cues, is a foundational skill for detecting potential threats. Most of the time, situational awareness should be casual, simply being situationally aware of who and what is around you. Enjoy the world around you. Look at people, look at the scenes, look at the trees. Take time to smell the flowers. Notice the flow of movement. Observe what's happening. Look for possible dangers. Look for possible opportunities. Look for routes of egress. Look for what is off of the baseline. At the same time, paying attention to people's body language is crucial. Are they acting appropriate to the situation, or do they seem nervous? Remember, we're looking at shifts in the baseline, right? This is a shift in the baseline. The guy in the coat in Starbucks in the middle of July and he's over there sweating, that's a shift off the baseline when everyone else is in shorts, t-shirts, and flip-flops. Are they shielding something in their clothing? Is the person hiding something? Do they appear to be trying to not let you see something there? Are they clenching their fists, pacing, or displaying aggression? Are they nervous? Hands and body posture, the eyes. My paramedic trainer when I worked in Atlanta used to say that the eyes were the gateway to the soul. And so hands and body posture can reveal a lot, sometimes more than words ever will. So keep an eye out for it. Tip number 6 on how to improve your situational awareness is by limiting distractions. And one of the best ways for any person to immediately improve situational awareness is leave the phone alone. And better yet, when possible, leave it in the car or at home. It's something I'm doing a lot lately. I take my phone to the gym because I listen to dystopian fiction audiobooks while I'm working out and my 80s hairband metal and that kind of stuff. Other than that, my phone stays at home. What do I need it for? There's nobody that's going to, I'm not going to, when I was running the program in Iraq and I had a program under me, yeah, there was times when I needed to be able to make calls right away. But for the large part, most of us we're not going to save a life when somebody calls us. We don't need to answer the phone right now. We had millennia as human beings, or 100+ years since the invention of the telephone, where we didn't have instantaneous contact, but we did have the ability to contact someone. Guess what? If they call your cell phone and you leave it on the charger in the living room, you'll be able to get the message when you get there. You'll be able to go back and look, did someone call? So I think, while phones are a critical tool for emergencies, if you're constantly checking your phone, though, you're not paying attention to the world around you, and the world can change in an instant with you becoming the emergency. If you are paying attention to your phone and not what's happening in the world around you, you may end up being in the problem, right? Besides, if you're concerned about privacy, know this. Your phone, as most of you should know, especially being in the prepper world, your phone constantly tracks where you go, how fast you move, how long you stay somewhere, and even how you're holding it. They can tell if it's in your backpack, your back pocket, your front pocket, where you're carrying your phone, because it has all the different stabilization, so it knows which direction it's facing and what it's doing. So they're very good at knowing everything that's going on in your life with that phone. So breaking that phone tether also breaks the ability to monitor your movements and track your life so easily. And maybe you're not, hey, maybe it's not that I don't worry about someone necessarily trying to track me down and all that. I just don't want to give as much information. We give out too much information it is nowadays. So I like trying to condense that. Now, tip number 7 is practice what if thinking. And another powerful way to sharpen your awareness is to mentally rehearse different scenarios. Ask yourself, if something happens right now, what will I do? And here are some what if examples you can practice. What if someone bursts through the front door, right? What if someone, while you're sleeping in bed at night with your family's all in bed, tucked in and everybody's sleeping tight, someone just comes up and starts banging on the door? It happened when I was a kid. I think someone was trying to break in the house. They were banging on the door, and we think that there was another person hiding. It was a woman trying to tell us to let her in because somebody was trying to beat her up and stuff. And when we later on, we saw her walking with a guy. We think that the guy was hiding around the corner from the back door. And if we had opened the door, if my dad had opened the door, she would have gotten in. So if someone starts banging on your door in the middle of the night, what are you going to do? What if a wildfire threatens your neighborhood and you have to evacuate quickly? Run through that what if scenario. Your routes. What are you going to grab? You got your bags, your evacuation bags, your emergency kit, all that, your vehicle kit ready to go. What if you're gunshots while you're in your shopping mall? We know that's on the rise, right? What if you're walking your car at night and you know someone following you? Running what if drills conditions your mind and expands your situational knowledge to respond faster under pressure. It speeds up your OODA loop. It helps you get inside of the other person's OODA loop. So that way your actions are faster, your actions are more effective. Doing all this primes your OODA loop to react faster and more effectively to developing situations that you've already thought through in advance. The bottom line on situational awareness training is at the end of the day, situational awareness training isn't a prepper thing. It's a survival skill for everyday life, for everything we have, right? It doesn't just apply to threats and dangers, it also applies to opportunities. If you're not situationally aware, you may miss an opportunity when it comes along. Effective situational awareness gives you a vital edge in spotting trouble early and responding appropriately to whatever it is. Now, building and maintaining your situational awareness gives you time, it gives you options, and it gives you control, right? I talk about what do I like to say all the time? It gives you time and distance between you and the problem. It strengthens your decision-making process, sharpens your problem-solving ability, and increases your chances of detecting potential threats before they become an imminent danger. By paying attention, reading your environment, and honing your instincts, you stay ahead of the threats and manage your physical response more effectively. And that's a great thing. And there you have it, everybody. 7 situational awareness training tips for you. Number 1, understand and use the OODA loop decision-making process. Observe, orient, decide, and act to understand what's happening in your world, to get that information, make a good decision, and have a good resulting action on top of that. Number 2, use Cooper's color code to stay in condition yellow. Relax, but observant, in tune with what's happening around you. Number 3, know your situational baseline of your personal environment. There's a flow to it. Does anything seem off? Number 4, trust your internal baseline. That's your internal instincts. What are they telling you? Are they picking up on something? Is your subconscious picking up on something that your conscious mind isn't registering and that you should pay attention to? Pay attention to those internal baseline shifts. Number 5, how to scan your environment and read body language for possible threats. What's someone doing? How are they acting? Look for their baseline shifts in what other people are doing. Number 6, improve your situational awareness by limiting your distractions. In other words, leave the phone at home, leave the phone in the car, throw the phone in the purse, leave it in your backpack, whatever, but stay away from it. Keep your eyes up, look around you, enjoy the beauty of the world, enjoy what we have going on, and at the same time, be ready for anything that comes down the street at you. And number 7, practice what if thinking. What if someone bangs on the door at night? What if there's a fire and we have to evacuate? What if someone breaks in? What if someone steals my car or tries to carjack me? What if? Go through all these different scenarios so that way you're that much ahead of the thought game when something actually happens. And that way you can keep yourself more safe, secure, and prepared should something come down.